Senator Claro Recto is known for his fierce nationalist act and opposition to foreign interventions. He believes that the country's industry must be placed under the complete control of the Filipinos and not on the hands of Americans.
The Philippines being oppressed by non-Filipinos is not only an irony but an affront to the Constitution, the highest law of the land.
So, the senator proposed the economic nationalism, which is inseparable to the concept of industrialization.
Economic nationalism is supporting the state's economic power to ensure that the country is strong and independent.
It is a logical outgrowth to have control of the resources of a country by its own people, to ensure its utilization primarily for their own interest and enjoyment.
Only economic nationalism will enable us to achieve basic and lasting solutions to our problems.
The preponderance of it is that local will be served as beneficiaries. It focuses within the country. The Filipinos are more priority in terms of natural resources propagation, business, and owning corporation.
These provisions set a train of restrictive economic policies that contributed to compound the mistakes of early industrialization policies. By tying the hands of future generations of Filipinos to deal with specific economic issues in their own time, the constitutional provisions provided barriers against solving economic problems with realism as called for by changing times and exigency.
The Philippines became the economic stagnant among a group of high-performing economics during the second half of the last century.
It built an economic and political framework that discouraged competition, enhanced monopolies, and inefficiencies by nationals. Also, it has inhibited the growth of international trade and hence postponed by a large margin of the time growth of economic specialization based on comparative advantage. Economic nationalism impaired a new kind of nationalism based on principles of competition and comparative advantage.
This economic policy would prioritize and protect Filipino products, interest, and engagement in businesses. President Garcia wanted the Philippines to have an economic independence as he wants the Filipino to have a dominance over our natural resources and exploitation without affecting our relationship to our foreign partners. This policy purely prioritized Filipinos in terms of business, natural resources, interest, and economic dominance towards our own economy. That time, Filipinos and foreigners, especially Americans, have given the same rights to exploit to our own natural resources.
One biggest strength of this policy is that it gives more priority to the Filipinos and welfare to Filipino citizens. It allows Filipino entrepreneurs to make ventures in industries dominated by non-Filipino and Filipino-made products. However, this policy also have its weaknesses. One weakness of this policy is that it can cause lower percentage in our economy because when this policy takes place, priority is the Filipinos and given little attention to foreigners' businesses. Also, this policy affect the international relation of our country to other neighboring countries such as China. Chinese Filipino claim that this policy is somehow discriminating on their part. It questioned the interpretation of who is Filipino.
The economic nationalism means the control of the resources of the Philippines so that they may be utilized primarily in the interest of the Filipinos.
Nationalism in the economic field is the control of the resources of a country by its own people to ensure its utilization primarily for their own interest and enjoyment. Its political expression is independence and sovereignty, the desire to be treated